The lights just went out. No warning, no explanation. 1 second, everything's normal. TV humming, fridge buzzing, phone charging, and the next, you're plunged into darkness. It's not just inconvenient, it's terrifying. And if you're like me, your mind races. What's happening? How long will this last? Am I ready for this? Here's the truth. Blackouts today aren't just about bad weather. Cyber attacks, grid overloads, even sabotage. These threats are real, and they're growing. When the power goes, chaos isn't far behind. Stores empty out, communication lines fail, people panic. If you're not prepared, you're vulnerable. But here's the thing, you don't have to be. What you do in the first few minutes of a blackout can mean the difference between staying safe and spiraling into disaster. That's why I made this video, to show you exactly what to do right now. I'll walk you through securing your home, protecting your supplies, and keeping your family safe. Time is running out, and every second counts. Don't wait until it's too late. Let's get started, before the darkness takes over. Well, number 1, secure your perimeter. The moment the power goes out, everything shifts. Darkness has a way of feeding chaos, and the tiniest weakness in your defenses could become an open invitation. Suddenly, what used to be your safe haven feels exposed, vulnerable. You can't afford to ignore this. Bolster your defenses before they crumble like sand in a storm. Start with the basics. Every door, every window. Check them. Lock them down like your life depends on it, because it does. Take no shortcuts. The pitch blackness outside is a veil for anyone who might want to slink through unseen. Shadows don't just hide you. They can hide anyone, and their intentions. The deadbolt might be the only thing standing between you and waking nightmare. If you're lucky enough to have motion-activated lights on backup power, now's the moment to activate them. You may think darkness is your ally in staying hidden, but believe me, it's not. Criminals thrive in the blackness. It lets them roam and sink deeper into their predatory habits. A light flooding your yard can shatter their veil of anonymity, like a piercing scream cutting through the silence. And don't just stop with locks and lights. Scan your home for weak points. Is there a back door that doesn't latch properly? A flimsy pane of glass on a downstairs window? This is your fortress now. Treat it like one. Reinforce anything that feels paper-thin, because if it breaks, the safety of everyone inside shatters with it. The power outage isn't a standalone event. It's the start of a domino effect, one that could leave you defenseless unless you act decisively. Hesitation invites disaster. Once you've secured your perimeter, don't relax. Stay alert. Every sound outside could be the wind, or something far worse. Every creak in your house will feel amplified in the oppressive quiet, ripping through your nerves like a knife. Ignore complacency. Paranoia might be your salvation tonight. 2. Grab your emergency kit. The darkness is suffocating, the air feels heavier, the shadows thicker. It dawns on you, what if this lasts? Are you ready to plunge into a long night that never seems to end? The answer is painfully simple. No one's truly ready. But what you do now, within these few fragile minutes, could mean the difference between resilience and ruin. You need your emergency kit, and you need it right now. Scramble for light first. Don't fumble in the black void hoping your phone flashlight will save you. That tiny beam of light may feel reassuring at first, but it devours your phone's battery like a ravenous beast. When your phone dies, so goes your link to the outside world. Grab a flashlight, a headlamp, anything you've prepared to cut through the impenetrable shadows. If their batteries are low, pray you have spares nearby. Don't underestimate the importance of light in fending off panic, in keeping you tethered to sanity, in staying prepared. Without it, you're stumbling blind through a nightmare. And a candle, such an innocent, trivial thing in the light of day, might be a lifeline now. There's something primal about it, a flickering flame combating the unrelenting dark. Gather candles, matches, and lighters. But remember, the fire can betray you if not handled carefully. It casts light, yes, but it also attracts attention. Desperation can make lurking shadows far too curious. Your kit should be more than light. Every member of your household needs their own slice of survival in hand. Pack water bottles, energy bars, first aid items. Anything to endure the hours clawing at you. Charge power banks while there's still time, if generators or remaining electricity flicker briefly back on. Use every moment like it's a collapsing bridge. There's no resupplying once the window slams shut. Every member of your household deserves their armor against the black. Assign light sources and basic supplies to each person. cascading a layer of safety through the chaos. Treat this like what it is, a fight for control against an encroaching abyss. Without this preparation, all it takes is one stumble, one forgotten flashlight for the night to truly swallow you. 3. Protect your perishables. The rumble of the refrigerator shutting off is like a death knell. Your food, your carefully planned reserves, they're living on borrowed time. Every degree they warm, every minute that passes unchallenged, it all claws away at your safety net. The hours until spoilage are ticking away like the relentless hands of a doomsday clock. If you don't act now, you'll lose more than a meal. You'll lose control over your next day, maybe more. Keep your refrigerator closed. Slam it shut and treat it like Pandora's box. Opening it will only make everything worse. Every second the door stays open, you're bleeding precious cold, shaving hours off your food's remaining lifespan. What was once cold and fresh will become deadly. Food poisoning lying in wait like a grim reaper among your spoiled leftovers. And don't trust the fridge to hold up under pressure. It's not made for this. If you have a cooler, use it. Stat. Gather ice, fill it with frozen water bottles if you're out of the block kind, and move your most critical items there. Those last few perishable foods could be your lifeline in the coming hours, maybe days. Milk, meats, even medicines that rely on refrigeration. They all belong in one protected space now. One fortress of ice against the rising temperatures. Time is your enemy. Your fresh food's enemy. And the worst part? There's no negotiating with it. Maybe power won't return before the ice melts. Maybe this outage stretches longer than you could possibly predict. But having a buffer, a cold, impenetrable sanctuary for your perishable items, buys you time. That time could shape your survival, feeding you when the outside world offers nothing but uncertainty. Don't wait to improvise. The cold storage you set up at the beginning of the outage is your best weapon to keep the rot at bay. There's no second chance if you delay. The power might not come back until it's too late. It might not come back at all. 4. Turn off major appliances. The second that darkness swallowed my home, a chill crept into the room, and not because the AC stopped humming. It was the silence. The kind that feels unnatural. The kind that warns you something's not right. That's when I remembered, one of the most dangerous threats during a blackout doesn't come from outside. It comes roaring back in. The moment power is restored. Most people don't think twice about it. The lights go out, they scramble for flashlights, maybe light a candle, and then just wait. But they forget one fatal detail. When the grid comes back online, it doesn't return quietly, it surges. Think of it like the electrical equivalent of a tidal wave. And if your TV, microwave, air conditioner, or computer is still plugged in when that surge hits, you're in for a nasty surprise. Smoke! Smoke! In some cases, fire. I've seen it happen with my neighbor's old TV, fried within seconds when the power came back on with a jolt. And the worst part? It could have been prevented. I moved quickly, walking room to room, unplugging anything that drew serious current. The fridge, the microwave, the TV, the gaming console, all of it. I even shut off surge protectors just in case. I wasn't taking chances. Power companies don't always restore electricity gradually. Sometimes, when the grid's been pushed too far, it snaps back like a whip, and you never know if your home will be the one it lashes. I left one light on, a simple bulb in the hallway, just so I'd know when the current came back. It's my silent signal, a glowing beacon in the darkness. The rest, it stays off, until I know the return is safe, because if you don't do this one step, you're gambling everything plugged into your walls. And when replacements cost thousands, or worse, catch fire while you're sleeping, it's already too late. 5. Conserve water. If you're on a well, the lights going out is terrifying, but do you know what's worse? The moment you turn the faucet and nothing comes out. No drip, no flow, just the hollow echo of a pipe that's gone dry. If you're on a well system like I am, you already know. No power means no pump, and no pump means no water. No flushing, no drinking, nothing. I learned that the hard way years ago during a storm that knocked out power for 3 days. The first 6 hours didn't seem so bad, until I needed to use the bathroom. I hit the flush lever and froze as the tank refused to refill. My stomach dropped. I realized just how fast things can go from manageable to catastrophic. So now, the second the power cuts out, I race to the sinks. I don't hesitate. I grab every container I can find, pots, bowls, even the dog's water dish, and fill them to the brim. I plug the bathtub and let it fill up too, because you never know how long you'll be dry. If you're not thinking about this, you'll fall into the same trap so many others do. You'll use what's left in the pipes, not realizing it's your last chance to store anything clean. After that, it's buckets of rainwater, questionable puddles, or breaking into your emergency supply, if you even have one. Toilet water becomes a calculation. Do I really need to flush? You start following the old rule. If it's yellow, let it mellow. It's gross. It smells. But it buys you time. Wastewater fills up fast, and you can't afford to waste a single gallon. Worse still is the fear of contamination. If you run out of stored water, what will you do? I keep a filter ready and purification tablets stored in a sealed container, because I've seen what happens when people drink from sources they shouldn't. Nausea, fever, dehydration. You're trying to survive the dark, and now you're battling illness? That's how people spiral. Fast. Water is life, and when the well goes silent, the countdown begins. Every drop becomes a choice. Use it too fast, and you're in trouble. Use it too late, and you're already there. 6. Get information fast. You might think the worst part of a blackout is the darkness, but that's not true. The real horror comes from the silence that follows. Not just the hum of appliances dying out, but the silence of the unknown. What caused the outage? How widespread is it? Is it a routine failure, or something far more sinister? Your phone becomes your only lifeline, but it's just as vulnerable as the grid itself. And once the towers are overwhelmed, or worse, go offline, you're cut off. That's when the real fear starts to settle in. What if no one's coming? What if we're alone in this? That's why I always keep a crank-powered radio close. It's not for nostalgia, it's for survival. When the blackout hits, I crank that handle like my life depends on it, because in some cases, it literally does. Emergency broadcast frequencies aren't just for hurricanes. They alert you to blackouts caused by cyber attacks, EMPs, grid sabotage, real threats that are increasing by the day. I tune in and listen. Static. Then a voice. And that's when the tension cuts like a knife. You know something serious is happening when the radio station you always ignore is suddenly reading off curfews, evacuation orders, or military advisories. That's not sci-fi. That's real. I've lived through it. Before the network collapses completely, I text my family. Just 4 words. We're safe. Power out. That's it. I don't send long messages. Every extra second drains the battery, and if this outage lasts for days, I'll need every percentage point I can cling to. After those texts are sent, I kill all unnecessary apps. Bluetooth? Off. Wi-Fi? Off. Background refresh? Gone. I switch to battery saver mode and brace for the silence. Because once your phone dies and the towers stop working, you become your own news source. And if you don't know what's coming, you can't prepare. Panic spreads faster than the dark, and people will start acting on rumors, not facts. That's when things get dangerous. Without a reliable stream of information, you're a blindfolded passenger on a runaway train. No direction, no speed, no way of knowing how close the cliff is. That's why the first thing I do after securing water and unplugging devices is get the facts. Because the world outside might be falling apart, and if I don't know it, I won't be ready when it comes to my doorstep. 7. When the kids were restless, the door spread like a disease. When the lights go out, panic doesn't knock. It kicks the door in. That's when I knew. I had to take control before the family spread like a disease. When the lights go out, panic doesn't knock. It kicks the door in. And unless you take charge quickly, your home turns into a nest of confusion. That's why I gathered everyone in the living room and said what needed to be said. This is serious. We don't know how long this will last. So here's the plan. I didn't sugarcoat anything. Sugar gets people killed. I reminded them where the exits were, which rooms were safest if we needed to shelter. and how to respond if someone knocked on the door. We walked through the steps, slowly, clearly, no room for guessing. Each person got a job. My eldest was on flashlight duty, checking and conserving our batteries. My partner monitored the emergency radio. I kept tabs on the water usage and watched the window for anything unusual. Nobody was allowed to wander or panic. We had a structure now. We weren't just sitting in the dark, we were doing something about it. Because without a plan, fear takes over. That's when arguments start. That's when mistakes happen. Someone uses the last of the water. Someone opens the fridge for no reason. Someone tries to charge a phone off the car and disappears into the night. I've heard stories like that. They don't end well. Keeping morale up is more important than people think. The darkness outside is heavy enough. You can't let it seep into your home. I stayed calm but not casual. I was clear, not cold. Because when your family sees you focused, they follow your lead. And in a blackout that might last days or even longer, leadership isn't optional. It's survival. 8. Check on neighbors. Once my own house was settled, I stood at the door for a long moment. Everything outside looked the same, but felt wrong. A dead silence clung to the street like fog. No porch lights, no cars, no laughter. Just black windows and the eerie thought that behind them, someone might be scared, alone, or worse, unconscious. I stepped outside. This is the part most people skip. They secure their home and then they hide inside it like it's a bunker. I get it, fear tells you to protect your own. But the truth is, your neighbors are your survival net, or they can be, if you check in before things fall apart. I went door to door, knocking softly but firmly. No yelling, no chaos, just a flashlight and a voice. "You okay in there?" Some didn't answer, probably thinking I was a looter or worse. I don't blame them. But one neighbor, a man in his 80s, opened up. He didn't even know the power had gone out. His hearing aid was out. His cell phone was dead. He was sitting in total darkness, shivering, trying to remember where he kept his candles. That moment stuck with me. It wasn't just about being kind, it was about stability. We're stronger together. A street that talks is a street that watches. That helps. That shares resources when things get ugly. If you wait too long to build that trust, you'll be met with locked doors and cold shoulders when you need it most. So I offered him a flashlight and told him to check in every morning. He gave me his spare hand crank radio, a trade, a bond, something human in a moment that felt anything but. And don't forget, neighbors aren't just friends. They're also risks if things go sideways. If they run out of food or water, and they think you're stocked up, that relationship can turn dark fast. Better to have that bridge built before desperation turns people into threats. 9-9 heater cool wisely. It's amazing how quickly the body notices the change. Once the HVAC shuts off, you either start sweating or you start shivering. Either way, it gets uncomfortable fast. And uncomfortable can turn deadly, especially for the elderly or small children. It was summer when the blackout hit us. Within an hour, the air in the house was like a trapped oven. Windows couldn't be opened wide. Too risky with security. So we used what we had. Wet towels draped around our necks, battery-powered fans placed near bowls of ice, cross-ventilation created by opening specific windows for airflow, then sealing off the sun-facing ones. But in winter? That's where things get even more terrifying. No heat means every minute you're losing warmth. The cold creeps in slow, and you don't notice it until it's sunk deep into your bones. I've seen frost on the inside of a window. I've woken up with breath misting in the living room. That's not just cold, that's a threat. We layered up, socks over socks, hats indoors, blankets hung over doorways to trap warmth in the one room we chose to live in until the power came back. We huddled together not for comfort but for survival. One body alone can freeze. Several bodies together create heat. That's not drama. That's biology. I knew better than to bring a grill or kerosene heater indoors. I've read those headlines. Family found dead from carbon monoxide poisoning. They didn't make one huge mistake. They made a small, desperate one. Trying to stay warm. Trying not to freeze to death. You have to fight your instincts. You have to think before you act. Because the cold doesn't care about your intentions. It just kills. 10. Don't panic. Prepare to wait. The hours stretch long in the dark. Longer than you expect. Minutes turn into hours. Then dusk fades into a night where time loses meaning, and soon the scariest question creeps into your mind. What if it doesn't come back? That's when panic starts whispering. You open the fridge, looking for comfort food. You drink an extra bottle of water because you're just thirsty. You burn through flashlight batteries pacing the room. All mistakes. All actions that drain your limited resources when you should be guarding them like gold. I had to stop myself. I told my family this could be over in 2 hours or 2 days. We prepare for the worst and ration like it's already happening. That meant no unnecessary food, no aimless scrolling, no opening and closing the fridge just to check. We set a strict schedule. Lights off unless in use. One small meal at a time. One full bottle of water per person per day if we could manage. The roads outside were dead, but not safe. No working traffic signals. No street lights. And the few cars I saw creeping through the shadows, they weren't families going out for groceries. They were scavengers I stayed in. In a blackout, the real battle isn't just outside, it's in your head. The creeping sense of helplessness, the impatience, the need to do something. But acting too soon or too much will burn you out before the real crisis even begins. This is a mental war, and it's won by those who prepare to wait.